What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the NFC North Roundtable. I am your host, Tony Dow with Roundtable Sports. Today, we will be discussing the NFC North free agent targets for each team. As you all know, the Lions, Vikings, Packers, and Bears look to make their teams better this year and more competitive. The Lions currently have $49 million in cap space. They won the division. They are the team to catch up to for the other three teams, but they have those other teams right on their heels, and they're going to need to make some moves that separate them from the competition. Then you have the Minnesota Vikings with a whopping $60 million in cap space. They were not far behind the Lions, but couldn't find a way to actually beat the Lions. So look for them to make some moves in free agency that will help them get over the hump and maybe pass the Lions this year. Then you have the Green Bay Packers, third place in the division with $45 million in cap space right now. The Packers are in a weird situation because they're in the middle of the pack in the division and the conference. But I just don't feel like they're close to the Lions yet. The Vikings passed them up. You would think that wouldn't happen. So they're really going to be aggressive, trying to make some moves to figure out how they can get to the next point of at least passing the Vikings and the Lions this year. But last but not least, the Chicago Bears. They have the most money in the entire division. As of right now, $75 million in cap space. We know that they were the lone low-hanging fruit within the division. They have a lot of things that need to get done, a lot of changes on the team. So we'll talk about what they need to do in free agency as well, all right? But with that being said, let's go ahead and start with the Green Bay Packers, all right? The free agent target that I believe the Green Bay Packers need to make sure that they do all they can to attack is going to be none other than Josh Sweat. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Sweat, edge from the Philadelphia Eagles, a game changer, an amazing pass rusher. This is exactly what the Green Bay Packers need. They need help on the defensive side of the football. They need to be able to get at the opposing quarterbacks. They need to be able to knock Jared Goff off his spot, whatever quarterback plays for the Vikings, and then you have Caleb Williams. So the Packers need to improve in this area. Josh Sweat, Super Bowl champ, has the pedigree, coming from the pedigree. He would be the perfect fit for the Packers to bolster that defense and add some pressure and help them win games. This is the area that if they were better in last year, I believe they would have won one or two more games, and then they would have been fighting for the top seed in the division. So the Packers, Josh Sweat is the way to go, in my opinion. You got to do everything you can to go ahead and get him. You have $45 million in cap space. This is the right move. Now, based off of what I do know, Josh Sweat is going to cost about $19 million, though. But remember, a lot of that's going to be back-loaded. The front area, the front of the contract isn't going to hurt as much. It's just going to be a few $1,000,000 this year, add a few more next year, and then it starts to kick in. But if you notice, that salary cap has been going up. So for those who say, he's going to cost too much, he's worth it. And one of the most underrated things you have to think about with Josh Sweat, he's healthy for the most part. The last 3 years, he's been healthy. He's been available for his team, and it's hard to find great players that can stay healthy. So Josh Sweat is the move here, okay? All right, we got 3 teams left. And I want to go to the next team, but I can't. Because when I was doing my research and when I was looking at who are the best fits for all 4 of these teams, I couldn't pick the second team. The reason why is because the Lions, Vikings, and Bears, they all have the exact same player that I believe they need to target. All 3 of these teams, there is one player in the NFL that all 3 need to target as a priority. Now, I do have a backup for each of these teams that we'll discuss, but I wanted to throw that out there. The Lions, Vikings, and Bears all need to try their very best to acquire none other than Trey Smith, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who Trey Smith is, you're missing out. This is the Chiefs guard, one-time Pro Bowler, two-time Super Bowl champ. The Chiefs decided they're not going to tag him. This man is the epitome of staying healthy. The only problem with Trey Smith is that he's going to be worth about $20 million a year at the guard position, similar to the Robert Hunt money last year. Now, what would you be getting in Trey Smith? You'd be getting consistency. You'd be getting what I already told you, good health, track record. You'd also be getting the 14th best guard out of 135 guards. That's top 11th percentile. In pass protection, he's top 25 percentile in the NFL. And in run is where his biggest strength is, top 8 percentile. He is ranked 10th out of 135 guards. This is the big fish in free agency on the O-line at the guard position. And the Lions, the Vikings, and the Bears, all three of these teams could use him. So Trey Smith is the primary guy that you want to go after. Okay? Now, who wants to go after him more than anybody? I would actually say the Bears, because at a minimum, they need 3 O-linemen. I mean, at a minimum. I mean, they need to make a splash on the O-line side of it, but they are the primary, okay? Now, let's start with the Lions. If they aren't able to acquire Trey Smith, I believe that they, too, need to pursue Josh Sweat. He would be an excellent addition. The Lions need to do something bold. They lost a pass rusher last year, but they need to bring in even more. And this would be the right move. If you can't get Trey Smith, you go after Josh Sweat. And I know I already talked about the Packers need to go after Josh Sweat, but if you don't get either of those guys, I believe Khalil Mack would be the move. He's the consolation. But you're the Lions. You got $49 million, so you shouldn't have a problem bringing any of these guys in. And you're close to the Super Bowl. So you have the leg up over all of these guys where a free agent will want to come to the Lions before them. So Trey Smith is the play for the Lions. And if you can't acquire him, then you got to go with Josh Sweat to help with the pass rush. And if that doesn't work, you got to go with Khalil Mack. That's what I would do if I were the Lions GM. All right. Now let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings. I already said they need a Trey Smith. They need to be better in the O-line. But if they can't get Trey Smith, it's a no-brainer for me who the Vikings need to try to attack. Javon Holland out of Miami, free safety. You reunite him with Brian Flores, and he was his best version of himself with Brian Flores in Miami. This is the guy Brian Flores actually drafted in Miami. He knows him very well, has a good relationship. If you love Van Ginkel, you'll love Javon Holland under Brian Flores, okay? He fits exactly what Brian Flores likes to do, and the Vikings could definitely use more help in that secondary, all right? Javon Holland would be the move for the Minnesota Vikings to continue to bolster that defense. We know Kevin O'Connell is going to do his thing on offense, but you got to keep on bolstering the defense. You can't rely on just coaching. Coaching did a phenomenal job turning some no-names into some big names. But at some point, you got to spend some money and bring in some talent too. All right. And just imagine what great coaching would do with even that. So this is the move for the Vikings. Javon Holland, free safety out of Miami. Now, his cost is going to be about 15 plus million. But the problem with Holland is he's going to be highly wanted by a lot of teams. So that price can keep getting driven up. I can see him signing a deal for 20 million because somebody will want him so bad. So, but this is the target for the Vikings at the right price. If it gets out of control, you do have a good coach. You don't have to be desperate. You got a good DC and Brian Flores and that staff. They can develop guys, so you don't have to be desperate. But if you can get him for 17 or less, you pounce all over it. Anything over that, you got great coaches. You don't need to extend yourself. All right. Now let's move along to the last team here, the Chicago Bears. Obviously, we talked about it already. Trey Smith would be the move here. They need at a minimum 3 offensive linemen. And if they can't get Trey Smith, they too need a Josh Sweat, okay, to help that defense out. But I'm going to pass on that, and I'm going to go to who I think they need to try to get a value deal out of. This will be a nice addition for the Bears. You have to go after Drew Dalman, okay? That is the center from the Atlanta Falcons. He's going to be worth about $7 million. The problem with him is he's coming off of an ankle injury, only playing 9 games last year, but he is a good center. I'm telling you, this would be a value. This would be a bargain. You're getting him for cheaper than what he's worth because of the injury, but it's much greater upside, okay? He is the 4th ranked center out of 64. 4th out of 64. Top 6 percentile. Okay. Now his pass blocking is above average. It's not elite, but his run blocking is superior. He's the 5th best run blocker out of all 64 centers. This is the guy you want to attack. Okay. So Chicago Bears, you want to help Caleb Williams out. You need to fix that O-line, attack Trey Smith, and try to attack Drew Dalman. Those are 2 nice additions, and also Josh Sweat. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, NFC North free agent targets. That's what I believe each team needs to do and take advantage of it and make the teams better. Until next time, I'll see you soon. But before you go, I do want you to know that this stream is being brought to you by BetUS. Take advantage of a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 using code YouTube150. If you're looking for a new sports book, BetUS is where you want to be. It's not just a sports book, but the race book, the casino, and so much more. They have blackjack, different card games. They also have the slots. And the cool thing about the slots, you can also play for fun. So some people say, hey, I like gambling. Enjoy yourself and do it responsibly. And if you don't, they also have the games that you can play for fun. So get into the action on BetUS, ladies and gentlemen. Supporting the sponsors is supporting the channel. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Peace. We are out.